let's talk about the most important part for which we have gathered, that is time tracking, correct?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
All right, great, great. So we will go by, so the my motto would be making you understand the concepts rather than going into a to and fro motions in a faster way. I'll try to make it simple. I'll
Okay.
try to make it more interactive with so that you put up a lot of questions so that we can, at the end of the day, you would understand the main concepts and you can implement the time tracking part. All right. So time tracking and absence both are very interesting, and both are one of the, would say, highly demand modules in terms of Workday. All right. And they actually, the reason behind they are most interactive and most valuable because the previous systems, for example Chronos, PeopleSofts, and other ERP systems do with the time tracking and absence are being implemented, they are little bit robust. But in Workday time tracking and absence, they are actually a little dynamic. They're, the UI is quite good, and it is more interactive, so that things are a little simple over here. So by the word time tracking, what do you understand, Radha?
Well, it's basically to track the time, and so users like the employees record their time, and yeah, it gets approved, and it goes to the payroll to get paid.
Correct, correct. Somehow you are most importantly correct. So you understand now the point of the way you have stated that time tracking, you employee track the hours, enter the hours. Once they get approved, it moves to the payroll and they get paid. So the catch here would be like that time tracking is interacting with other domain. Don't it? Doesn't
Yeah.
it interact with other domains? Yeah. So yeah, time tracking is such a model which interacts with multiple domains. For example, your time absence. Absence is separately another module of Workday. Your financials, which brings project. Your payroll, which is an entire different module. All right. So time tracking in such a domain which interacts with, which has an interconnection with two or three domains, such as your finance, your absence, and your payroll part. And how they're interacting, there is a catch. There's a term which is known as calculation tags. You must have heard before, but we are going to understand deep dive over here in this training. So today what we're gonna cover would be the basic overflow of what is time tracking in Workday, how time tracking works in Workday, what are the necessary things for time tracking. All right, day one would be this. Day two would be the building blocks of time tracking, the base part. All right, we're gonna learn about that. And day three would be, we would be looking on the eligibility. We would be looking at the time types, how a time gets entered in Workday systems. We would be looking into those parts and their respective characteristics properties. We are also going to cover high volume time entry type, mass time entries, all the important aspects in this whole training. Time calculations, reports, what they emphasize. All right, and by the end of this training, the course of this ending training, I'll be giving you a test. All right, a test which would be configuring a entire time tracking system. So are you aware of that? You would be giving a test.
No, I'm not, but no, it sounds interesting. I want to do it actually.
Yeah. So there will be a paper. There will be. I'll give you a Canada time tracking paper so that you
Okay.
can do a test. All right. I'll give you a sum of 24 hours for that. All right,
Okay.
in order to complete that. But yeah, every day I'll be giving you one or two tasks, and every day the thing I would be looking at, I will be seeing your activity, how you are doing it. So please be aware that I'm very much I'll look on the task. All right, in order to go ahead, move to the next session, I always ask the previous session's job. So some trainers do, some trainers doesn't, but I do that. I actually ask what you have learned from the yesterday's. So talking about the time tracking part, let's start. Let's do the uh, let's do start a main session about what is time tracking and what is the first thing that comes into mind whenever a client comes and asks Workday, we need time tracking. What the first thing that Workday will give them? what would be the first thing that would should be enabled? Any idea?
So, well, probably the worklet, right? And the tenant setup.
Correct. Somehow you're correct, but the most important thing would be enabling the functional area.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So whenever you are in a system, whenever you are moving from any client to client, all right, any there surplus client, and if you want to check that, do they have such kind of things like the nowadays Workday is booming up. HCM is mandatory, student module, finance module, absence module. In order to utilize those characteristics and those other modules in Workday, we need to have the functional area to be enabled. And what is the functional area? Functional area, consider it as a room, all right, a room. All right, I'll be giving you like day-to-day example, like a room, and there are a lot of stuffs which needs to be accessed, where you need to access those stuff. For example, the earphone is inside the room, the laptop is inside the room, your television is inside the room, and you need to access those things. So you need to have the key for that room. All right.
Mhm.
So consider the room as a functional area, and enabling the functional area would be your key. All right, your key to open that door. All right. So first thing that you need to understand before moving and jumping ahead to time tracking, you need to have this functional area enabled. That would be, so there are three functional areas when we talk about time tracking. All right, that is time tracking calculation, and time tracking hub. So here you see there is no over here. All right, there, do that impact the time tracking which is existing over here? No. What is the emphasis let me emphasize about these two functional area, time tracking and time tracking code. In order to use Workday's own time tracking, like using the Workday's own time tracking using on the system, on the client system, these two these two functional areas needs to be implemented. What is time tracking? It has the basic components such as period schedule setup, work schedule calendar setup, entering time by Workday time tracking. These stuffs comes under the functional area time tracking. Time tracking calculation, what it is all about? It is something that which is the background calculations. You are in Canada, correct? So there must be overtime, double time, these kind of criteria comes into the picture, don't they?
Yes. Yes, they do. Yeah.
So those are getting set up, or those things gets access if this functional area is enabled. All right, so these two, time tracking and time calculations, these are work. If you need to use the Workday own system, and you need to work on inside the system rather than getting the files and implementing those things, then these two functional areas needs to be enabled. All right.
Okay.
Talking about the third part, are you noting it down or not?
Yes. Yes, I am. Yeah.
All right. All right, and this third one, time tracking hub, what it is. So there are some companies, some clients who are actually flexible using their own previous systems. For example, Oracle. All right, Oracle is also a ERP system, HRIS system. Chronos, the best example. Chronos is known for their time tracking. Chronos clock. All right, PeopleSoft, SAP systems. So when they want to interact with time tracking, like third-party systems, when they need to interact with our Workday's time tracking by using the integration files up and down, inbound and outbound, then this time tracking hub needs to be implemented. This time tracking hub needs to be enabled. Then what would happen? Any hour which has been entered in SAP system, that hour will flow to Workday system via integration, batch integrations, time and tracking integration. Those integration will come into the picture if this uh, feature has been enabled. All right,
Okay.
that's clear.
Mhm.
So talking about what we should have first, the functional area, which two functional area if you want to use in Workday system, then what should we have? Please answer.
Time tracking and time tracking calculations.
Correct. That's correct. All right. So yeah, first thing that we have tick mark, which is what needs to be implemented. All right. Now let's see the interface, how a time card looks. All right. How a time card looks in the Workday ecosystem. Hmm. There's a task. All right. There's a task. Most probably, most of the time, you see over here time application to be flowing over. All right.
Mhm.
That a HCM consultant configure in the system by going to the dashboard and giving the security to the particular group. All right. ESS. Most of the time they give to employee as self. Then only that worklet or the application, now Workday states it as an application. Previously they used to say it as worklet. So after that, the worker would be able to the worker would be able to see the time application. Then directly clicking over it can access the time tracking. All right, but in case this is not available, all right, in case it is not available, the same consultant or the company doesn't want to give it to the dashboard, then what you would be doing, you need to go over here and click enter my time. All right, a task would pop up, and this is a basic time card. All right, this is a basic time card where an employee fills the time card on a weekly basis. All right, and then those hours get transported to your payroll. All right, this is the first thing that an employee needs to do. All right, now here you are not able to enter the time. Correct, you click over here, you are not able to enter the time because there are specific reasons for that. Maybe the period is logged out, maybe the employee doesn't have the access to enter the time, or maybe the time entry template is not configured. So basic thing is employee always enter the time through this time card, and this UI version is known as time entry template. Okay.
Okay.
All right. What are the things that you can see over here? First thing, you see the view. All right. View is by week. Generally, on a default setting, it is always by week, but you can make it by day also, so that on what day you did what, you can directly enter the time. Okay. Let's make it week again. Here you see a few things over here, such as my team's request time off, review time by week. These are specific function which gets configured under time entry template, which is seeing the overtime request, seeing the time off, and review the time by week. All right, and over here, hour 00, hour 00, hour 0, hour 0, hour 0. You see that?
Yeah.
These are known as daily totals. All right, note it down. These are known as daily totals. All right, the number of hours you will put on that particular day would get calculated over here. The number of hours on Tuesday would be calculated over here. All right, and this is most important. In Workday, you submit by week. All right, you submit the time card by week. You will get this UI. If you want to see the whole UI for the whole month, it is not possible. All right, from the Workday standpoint of view, Workday says that you submit your time card from week by week. All right, you will get only a week days for the UI version. You can only see the this part for a specific week. You cannot see the whole month, like from 1st of January to 30th of January on a single screen. It is not possible. All right, you will be seeing the week by week. For example, this week, then moving forward to the next week, then moving forward to the next week. All right, this is the only way Workday asks you to enter your time. There is no other such way to enter the time. So this is the specific way you will be seeing your activities for a week only. All right, all right. So we have seen the picture of Workday, like how a time card looks like. This is a basic time card. All right, you
Right.
see that? You are able to see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So any questions till now? Any queries that you had right now, or you want to ask?
Well, I always thought like as a regular employee, we only book the time offs, but we don't enter the time itself, right?
No. So it depends. Okay, it depends. You book the time off as a regular employee, but if your company or your company is looking for you to get your utilizations, all right. Every company sees the utilizations of an employee, all right. So in order to track that utilization, in order to track that how many of hours they are putting on a day-to-day basis, we do the time entry. Enter our time by the specific bucket time type. All right, this is necessary. All right. Now let me give you an example. 1 second. Or rather, let's take a hypothetical example. I am a software engineer. I am working in a company. All right. And my appraisal is based on my 90% of utilization. All right. Correct.
Okay.
It
Hmm.
happens in India and it happens in all over the world. All right. For software engineers. All right. Now, this is the first example. Now, let's take about second example. I am as a regular employee, but I am a manufacturing employee. All right, I'm a regular employee and I am a manufacturing employee. I'm a production engineer. All right, and I go day in day out to my office and I work on an hourly basis. All right,
Hmm.
that is correct. If
Yeah.
I don't enter my time on the workday systems, then how would I get paid?
Well, I understand for the hourly employees, but for the regular salaried employees, so say for example, if their set hours is like 8 hours,
Uh-huh.
do they still enter their time? I don't think so, right?
No. So they don't have the overtime. No. For the salaried employees, they do get overtime and appraisals. For example, if I have put, for example, if I'm working on a client's project, and if I've given more than 8 hours for a day on that specific project, then those hours get billed to the client. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And those hours, if they are getting billed to the client, I am eligible for my overtime and double time also from my customers. All right, that is also for true. And yes, when it comes to a regular employee, if I am like, there are two types of entries. One is hours only and the second one is in and out. All right, if I talk about hours only, yes, people do enter. I do enter my hours on a day-to-day basis, how many hours I put on the system. For example, so what it does, what I emphasized on the utilization basis. First, let's talk about the utilization basis. So what happens in customers? What they do, they ask for the UT. Like they have a certain criteria for the appraisal. For example, for a year or for a month, you need to have 80% of the utilization, 40 hours a week, but you need to have 80% of minimum utilization on your project. So what I will do, if I don't enter my time, for example 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, or 5 hours or 6 hours, at the end of the month, if my manager pulls the report seeing my total hours and do the arithmetic calculation, I will be falling apart from my utilization. Then the appraisal or the merit cycle or the bonus won't affect me. Is that possible or not?
Yeah, it is possible, but not for all the clients. Is that right? Because like
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Some clients do not enter the time. For example, yeah, you are correct, not a mandatory for all the clients, that is correct. Yeah, some clients, what do they do, they only do it for the specific population. Like my manufacturing workers, my in and out person would be entering the time. Rest all are safe, I don't want there. All right, the salaried one, regular salaried one, yes, you are correct. But there is a different side of also for salaried one. In order to maintain the utilization, in order to see how many, what is the billable hours, what uh, if that company, if the client is a service company, and if they outsource their project from the different clients, then they need to bill those hours. All right, and based on that the revenue gets generated. Then also the people enter the hours respective to the project work. All right, is this possible or not?
Right, right. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there are yes, some clients, like for example in Poland, what happens, in Poland is such a country where only manufacturing workers are eligible to enter the time, not all of them. All right. In China also, like let me tell you one, I have recently implemented one of the time tracking for time tracking configuration for Shanghai. So what they wanted, that if a worker, for example, if a worker, he is not a manufacturing or any worker, software engineering worker, enters the time on a weekday or a holiday, he will be getting 2x amount of his base pay. All right. But how to track that, how to get that person has worked on a weekday or a holiday? Then those salaried persons enter the time on the through the time tracking card on the specific holiday or a would say holiday or the Saturday Sunday weekends. All right. So
Mhm.
this is one of the scenario. But on a regular basis, like on a regular basis, on the day-to-day weekday basis, they don't enter the time on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but only on holiday if they are working. All right.
Right.
But if but there must be a criteria now. If they have entered the time and submitted the time, what will happen? There would be a counterpart or higher authority to evaluate that yes, they have entered the time, and after approving that time, then they are allowed, then they are eligible to get that paid. Correct?
Right.
All right. So you got the concept now.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Okay. So now let's talk about, there are only two types of, in Workday system, there are two types of entries. All right. One, I told you that the way you are smart enough, you have told me that salaried employee enter hours, only hours, 8 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours. All right. There is one type of entry which is known as hours only. All right. These are known as entry method. Talk about three important aspects, three major important aspects of Workday. In order to become a time tracking consultant, I'm just talking about time tracking consultant. The first thing that you need to understand would be, the first more foremost thing would be enabling the functional area time tracking. All right. If that is enabled, time tracking and time tracking calculation, which means your system is good to go. All right.
Right.
Now, if you're on a naked system and you just know that we have a functional area enabled and the rest nothing has been enabled, then what to do? The first thing you need to check, and whenever you are asking a client or moving forward, whenever you get a requirement, the first thing you need to check, that this is the first base, is the period schedule.
Okay.
All right. Period schedule. Now let's talk about period schedule. On a general basis, what is period schedule? Is it basically defining a frequency? All right.
Right.
On a general basis, when the payment should be given, when the payment should not be given. Okay.
Right.
This is rolling out the payroll date, payment period start date, period end date. But when it comes to time tracking, there's a other significance for this period schedule, which is when the time should be entered, when the time should be logged, when the time should be again open, when the time should be for that period should be permanently closed. All right, this is only the significance in period schedule. All right, and also in integrations too, when the time is getting integrated, when the time blocks are getting integrated with the system, how things work. All right, so let's open any of the period schedule where the time tracking is implemented. Let's open the monthly, the time tracking has been implemented or not. Great. All right, so whenever you open a period schedule, whenever you will be creating a period schedule, the first thing, let's also keep in mind, let's also create one period schedule also. All right, this is the period schedule that we have. The first thing what you need to do, you will need to check if they have a time tracking enabled, or if they have a period schedule which is using the time tracking or not. And how you would be checking that, you would be going to the period schedule and you will be checking this if the usage is there for time tracking or not. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever this usage is been checked or is been added, automatically these three sections will pop up. All right, as you are able to see it.
Right.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now let's do let's make our own period schedule. Let's do it, and so that we will learn it. There's a task, basically create period schedule, and there's another mode of entering time which is known as EIBs. All right,
Yeah.
the moment I have entered, I have actually added this period schedule. You can see this is a raw part. All right, there's nothing over here. Let's make it test 123. All right, I have named it. The second thing would be the frequency. If my customer says that I want a hourly frequency, then I will be, sorry, a monthly frequency, I'll be adding monthly frequency. If the customer says that my period started and period ended would be basically targeting the quarterly basis, then I will be doing quarterly basis. Whatever the customer says, we will do accordingly, whatever the head of command would say. Similarly, weekly, annual, bi-weekly, how whatever the customer will say. So for example, let's talk it on a monthly basis. All right, I have clicked OK. Now still I won't be able to do anything until and unless I make it a usage. For example, you would see, let's first do it. First, let's do it for time tracking. If I click time tracking, all right, and if I have added over here this is not necessary. I just did it for fun. All right. If I just added time tracking, then this period schedule will be only used by time tracking. Understood?
Okay.
All right. If I add absence, then this period schedule will be shared with absence module as well as time tracking. And if I add a payroll over here, then this would be using absence and payroll also. And these are payment dates. Like if the last working day is a Saturday, then your payment should be coming -1 like on Friday. If it is on Sunday, then -2, which is on Friday. All right, you understand this thing?
Yes, yes, I do. So one question though, like in regarding to the usage, but I understand like they can select different options there, but not typically they will have, like say for example, if they are using time tracking and payroll, they will follow the same period schedule, correct?
Correct, correct. They will follow the same period schedule. Correct. Period schedule is nothing. It is just a frequency. The way it would be giving ahead. All right.
Right.
So this is the first thing. Now you we will only focus on this part, time tracking part. Okay, not on the started end date. All right. Now you see over here open time entry, lock time entry, unlock for adjustment, and close time entry. We will only focus on these four tabs. What does it emphasize? Open time entry means opening that period, that specific period. For example, let's talk an example. If my period schedule has a I'll do it for you. If I'm on a monthly basis, 0101 2021, all right, 01 uh, MMDD, 1 2021. All right, this is my first period. All right,
Right.
this is the first period. Like the period start date is uh, uh, 1st of January and the period end date is 31st of January. Okay,
Mhm.
so what it defines, this is the first period. Now open time entry means when to open the time, when to open those time entries for those folks. All right, when they can enter the time. If I make it like 01022021, which is 2nd of January. All right, correct?
Okay. Yeah.
What will happen from the 2nd of January? From the 2nd of January, employees will be able to enter the time from 1st of January 2021 to 31st of January 2021.
Yeah.
And confusing?
No, it's clear actually. Yeah, I understand.
It
Yeah.
is the range. It is the
Right.
range. Like from this range, they will be entered. I just made it to make you understand that on a general basis, on a best practice, people make it for the first day. All right. Okay. For
Okay.
this entire period, like from 1st January to 31st of January, those days, for those days, people are eligible to enter the time from 1st of January 2021. Long
Mhm.
time entry means that particular day where the employees will not be able to enter the time. From that specific moment, people will not be able to enter the time for that specific period. For example, let's do it 0115 2021, which is 15th of January 2021. What will happen? Employee, the door opens to enter the time from the dates of 1st January to 31st of January on 1st of January 2021. But okay, but the door closes after 15th. Like on 16th, if you are going ahead and checking your calendar for 1st January 2021 and 2nd January 2021, you will not be able to enter the time. You will not be able to click it. The way we actually were clicking on the time card, we were not able to do it now.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It is because either the period is locked. Okay,
Mhm.
either the period is locked. All right, if you are like as a consultant, sometimes we get issues on a support project, or sometimes we get issues. It is actually feasible now. Uh, it is possible to get issues on a day-to-day basis in time
Right.
tracking. Like, hey, my one of my folk is not able to enter the time. What you will see, the first thing you will see that which period schedule that worker is entering. All right, and if you identified that period schedule, you will see whether for that period, is there any lock, is that the employee has crossed the lock time. Like on 16th of January, like for example, on 16th of January, I came like, hey, I'll enter the time for my entire month on 16th, but I'm not able to do it. All right. But
Right.
I'm not able to do it. It is because you have, buddy, you have crossed that specific day. You have gone ahead on 16th. All right. If you would have an option on 15th, still you were able to do it. But on 16th, no, you are not allowed to enter the time for this specific period. All right. Always understand this specific period. All right.
Right.
People get confused on that. People do confuse on that. That which period, all for this specific period. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you see the times over here, they are always on the PST zones, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You have a liberty to change the locale, but yeah, on a general basis, they are always under the PST zones.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Why this lock time entries are been introduced? Because payroll also comes into the picture. All right. In order to process the payrolls, these log time entries are always introduced. All right, these log time entries are introduced so that the payroll can also do the processing on the background and the payment can be done. Correct?
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Now, for example, now there might be a scenario that hey, you have worked on 14, all right, and 15, but you have not entered your time, but you are eligible to get paid. Correct?
Yes.
You have worked, you need your money to be sent, but now what to do?
So they
Then
can
and that no,
adjustment.
they cannot modify it. What happens on a customer side or any other side, they give a buffer window. All right, like you are not allowed to enter the time for 15th after 15th, but after 18th you are allowed to modify your time. All right, you are allowed to modify your time, or you are allowed to enter the time for those areas where you have not entered. Okay, this comes under the category of unlock for adjustment.
Yeah.
All right. Then
Mm-hmm.
employees are given the access to enter if they have forgotten, or if they have missed the time card, if they want to modify their time card for that specific area, then unlock for adjustment dates are introduced. For example, if I make it on 22/2/02, oh sorry, 21, what will happen on 22? My time card would get open for this specific period, this specific window, and I will be able to enter the time or modify the time on those specific areas. All right.
Mm-hmm. Makes
Is that
sense.
confusing?
No, it's not. It's very clear actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it is unlock for adjustment. All right. All right. Sometimes people don't give those access to ESS. Sometimes this is like this is all sometimes this is blank, but under that scenario, managers have the access to modify the log time entry for that specific period. But in order to have that, they need to have a specific domain access. All right, there's a specific domain which is known as exempt from lockout.
Okay.
From the word itself states that exempt from lockout. Correct?
Yeah.
All right. Time tracking most of the time. So in absence, the highest authority is with absence administrator. Correct?
Yeah.
Time tracking, the highest authority is with time tracking administrator. They are user group security groups. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now, now let's take an example. Now let's after that unlock for adjustment. There might be scenario if miscellaneous things happens. Like if on February, if on February 15th, I thought that hey, I should modify my time entries for January. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This is the window. This is again. Understand? This is opening the gate. This is locking the gate.
Yeah.
This is again opening the gate. But
Mm-hmm.
we need to close that gate again, na, permanently.
Yeah.
All right. On February, I thought, nah, I should actually enter my time for January. All right. But
Mm-hmm.
it is not good. It is not ethical to enter the time for January if you have given a window to enter
Mm-hmm.
the time from that specific date. You should enter the time from that specific dates only, rather than moving ahead and entering the time into a different month, from a different month to a different month. Like on February, I thought I should enter that my time for January. It is not ethical. All right, no one should do it. All right, until unless you have a permission from the senior authority. In those scenarios, again closing that gate comes into the picture by adding this close time entry. It is permanently closing that period. Permanently, the highest authority will not be able to enter the time. Like for example, if I make it 21, 25, or 2022, 2022, so sorry, 2021, after 24th, even if God will not be able to enter the time for that worker during the period of 1st January to 31st of January. All right, this is permanent close, seal, raid. FBI has come and raid that area. All
So
right.
what happened just in case if there was like a situation that the work gone on
Then
emergency leave or something like that,
yeah,
and then
yeah. So what will happen? You will need to edit that period schedule. You will need, what will happen? It is done in first, the time tracking administrator will do it in the sandbox. All right,
Mhm.
opening, what he or she will do, it will they will nullify this close time entry, and they will be entering the time on behalf of the worker.
Okay.
All right, they will be on a best practice. They will be doing. One of my financial clients, what happened? Let me tell you. This is a practice. It is a scenario. One of my financial clients in Dubai. What happened? They wanted to amend all the time entries which a particular worker did uh, for last year 2020 October to 2020 June to 2020 October. The client lives the client is based out of Dubai. All right, they asked me to do it, and they have already given this close time entries. All right, in, because after mentioning the close time entries, no, God cannot come and do the miracle. All right, what
Right.
I did, I came again to the time period schedule. I asked them that no, there is no such domains which gives a super authority to the worker to enter the time on behalf of the worker on that specific day. What I did, I removed this close time entry, and I gave that worker that window to enter the time, or the time tracking administrator. I made them understand that please enter the time for those areas, and but remember to close again, make it close. If you
Yeah.
don't, then somewhere machinist activities would get come into the picture, would come into the picture. All right, so that is one of the things that I gave, that yes, if this is a practical scenario, it will come day in day out, but in order to resolve that, you need to remove that close time entry, and again you have to add that. All right, why this unlock for adjustment? So for unlock for adjustment, reopening the door and closing again, there is a small window they give for 1 or 2 days to make those adjustments for that specific period. Okay, on a general basis, people do give. You can see your own tenant if the time tracking is there. You will see there's a little space of dates between unlock for adjustment and close time entries. All right,
Mhm.
all right. But those amounts, if those things were, like for example, if you have done your unlock for adjustment for the specific months, but you have already got the paid, and if you have added more hours, all right, you should get more paid. Those pay would be the retroactive pay. All right, you
Okay.
understand the retro pay?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
because they
those,
have gone and made the corrections.
yeah, those corrections have been done. So those pay would be the retro pay. So we understand this concept of about what is open time entry, lock time entry, unlock for adjustment, close time entry. All right, all right. So my first task for you would be checking one of the period schedule and modifying their open time entry, not open time entry, lock time entry, and try to enter, for example, January. All right, we are in January, and if the your tenant is giving an access, if you are able to enter the time on January 2021, make it, today is what, today is 7 now. So
Yeah.
make the lock time entry 6 and enter the time for that specific period. Okay,
Okay.
and see if you are able to do it or not. All right, and then again modify it and see if you are able to do it or not. Okay.
Okay.
All right, this is my first task. All right. Now, oh, quite a long part. All right. So yeah, you
So
my
sorry,
most pardon?
I just have one quick question though. So this I know this is an example, but then like typically, so for example, like say for a monthly frequency for a January 1st to 31st, so the open time entry, like when will they open the time entry? Will it be in February? They will
First.
give.
No. They will generally on a first they will do it because if you're a manufacturing worker, if you're a salaried worker, you will be entering the time on a day-to-day basis. Now, if this is not configured, this is not configured now, then the
Mhm.
people won't be able to enter the time.
Okay.
All right. I do weekly basis. I do on a weekly basis. Every day I enter my time. This is not. So remember, this is the base. If the period schedule is not set up,
Mhm.
God will not allow to enter the time.
Right. Yeah.
This is the first base. All right.
Mhm.
Make it most important. And one more thing, one worker, one period schedule. One worker, one period schedule. A worker cannot have two period schedules for time tracking. I'm emphasizing on this again. A worker cannot have two period schedule for time tracking. This is always 1-to-1 ratio, 1:1 for
Okay.
time tracking. A worker cannot have. If a worker is having more than one period schedule for time tracking, then my God, there is a blunder has happened.
Okay.
There is a blunder. Blunder, no, that worker will never ever in his career will be able to enter the time. But we have a solution to make that. Okay. But remember, this is the base. This is the base. This is the interview question also.
Mhm.
That if a worker is having more than one period schedule, what will happen? You will promptly say that in his or her entire life he will be not able to enter the time. All right. If the interviewer asks no, he will be enter the time. Argue with him that how you are going up beyond the workday rules.
Okay.
Okay. This
Mhm.
is the base questions. Okay, and it actually gives you an extra age in during your interviews. All right. This is the base question. Okay. One worker, one period schedule. So, but how the workers are eligible for period schedule? How the worker are eligible for period schedule? There must be an eligibility criteria, correct?
Right.
Okay. Whenever you make the uses over here, these three tabs comes into the picture, and there comes the worker eligibility. For payroll, they ask for pay groups. For absence, they ask for time of plans, like which time of plans is using which period schedule. Okay, they ask that. Okay, which time of plan, and inside the time of plan, they have the eligibility to make the people eligible to use that. But in when it comes to time tracking, promptly over there only the period schedule comes into the picture. Like who are the workers who are eligible to use this period schedule? For example, time tracking worker eligibility is this is known as workday time tracking eligibility. Okay,
Okay.
we have condition rule eligibility or compensation package eligibility, salary package eligibility. These eligibility in SCM we have, but for time tracking they have a specific set of they are actually very robust or not robust. They are very dynamic, and as well as they are very proud of having their own eligibility rules. So they have made it time tracking eligibility. Those workers who are falling in this eligibility criteria will be having will be able to use the workday time tracking eligibility rule or workday time tracking period schedule. Okay, now
Mhm.
I'm giving you one more heads up. Whenever you are implementing time tracking eligibility, you go from eligibility, you make people eligible from the broader space to the narrow.
Okay.
It looks like complex, but yeah, when it comes to time tracking, you make worker from the broader way eligible to
Mhm.
the downward side to make it narrow. For example, now you have given a period schedule. You wanted to implement the time tracking for Poland region. Okay,
Mhm.
let's talk about your country, Canada. All right, let's talk about Canada. The first thing, and you got the requirement that I want the workers who are non-exempt and based out of Canada to be using the time tracking. And after that, you said that my hourly worker will be will be using these time types, these projects, and my salaried person will be using these projects. My hourly employees will be having these work schedule. My salaried workers will be having certain work schedule, and my hourly employees will be having this type of template and these type of calculations, and my salaried folks will be having certain other things. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now things are getting complex. Things are actually complex. How, what kind of eligibility, how things are going on. All right, just calm, cool it down. First, read that first phrase, that you need that non-exempt employees from Canada to be able to using time tracking. All right. The first thing you will do, you will check the period schedule. You will go to the time tracking part and you will give the broader eligibility.
Okay.
Understood?
Yeah.
Like what the first thing what you will do, create and tracking eligibility rule, rare eligibility rule, Canada, Canada non-exempt.
Yeah, it's very much similar to what we are using in compensation and recruitment and all those.
Exactly, exactly. You go from a broader way to the narrow way. All right. So you will add exempt and worker location, location address country. I'm sorry. Location address country equals to. Array, sorry. Oh, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho. Position value.
Yeah, you just want the country. Yeah.
Yeah. We have given the broader picture. Like we have opened a hall for them, that this is the hall of period schedule. All the non-exempt workers living in Canada are there. Now, when we come to segregation and when we come to narrow it down, we will make it more complex. That exempt employee country Canada, pay rate type hourly, other group. All right, and similarly, salaried will be other group. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
understood my point?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
All right. No. Let's talk about other things. If you see over eligibility over here, all right. Now edit it. Okay. The way I told you all the time, that if two or three eligibilities are for a period schedule is getting linked with one worker, then what will happen? Okay. Now let's see. If you ever see, if you ever see this kind of stuff in a period schedule,
Yeah.
go and ask the time tracking administrator why you did this. Okay, and they then say that this is absolutely wrong. What will happen? What will happen actually? Pata hai? It will actually mix the period schedules for the worker. All right, and it is not ethical. Only one period schedule. Only there should be only one period schedule over here. All right, the way I told previously, that one worker, one period schedule. So here you should have only one eligibility rule on a best practice way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. The way time of plans, a lot of time of plans are having a lot of things, but yeah, here in time tracking you just need only one. Okay. So yeah, so today what we understood from the standpoint of view.
Well, so basically the functional area is where we will begin with, right, to check whether the client, has that enabled or not. And then we did look at the how we enter the time and
Hmm.
the entry types, like hours only, in and out, those ones. And we did
Hmm.
view the period schedule and edit the period schedule as well, and the worker eligibility. Well, within the period schedule, we did look at the open time, lock time, unlock for adjustments, and close time entry for the given period.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you have one task also.
Sorry, say that again.
I have given you one task also.
Yes, you did. Yeah, and also we did talk
All right.
about the period. So I do have one quick question though. So you did mention, like, before we started the period schedule, you mentioned there are 4 important things to remember. One is the functional area, the second one is the period schedule, and then is the third one the worker eligibility rule?
No, work schedule calendar and time entry template.
Work schedule. Okay, I'll write that down.
These, there are only 3 bays. Okay, we talked about first base. All right, your house is not getting constructed till now. Your first base has been implemented. This first base. All right, and make it create a star mark and also add one worker, one period schedule.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, we will jump on the next one tomorrow. That are the 2 more important things, that is work schedule calendar and time entry template. But first remember this one, period schedule. Now, so how to identify, now I was wondering, we talk about period schedule, we talked about all those things like time tracking, important stuff, but how to identify which worker is using what kind of time tracking components? There must be something now. You are time tracking administrator, you should know what are the components are used by a worker. Okay.
Yeah.
In order to have that, this is a very powerful tool. Whenever you are doing a break fix or any enhancement, you just need to write it down, view worker time eligibility. It gives the in Hindi we call it kacha chitta, everything for that worker.
Okay.
Only with the time tracking. All right, this is a powerful tool. View worker time eligibility.
Okay.
Click there. Just write it the worker's name. For example, Kevin Turner. Kevin is there or not? Kevin Turner. If you open the Kevin Turner over here, what you will see entire workflow of that worker. Everything over here. All right. His every time tracking components are here, and they are also effective dated also, like on 6th what he had, on 4th what he had, and on in future what he will be having. Everything would be listed. All right.
Okay.
Remember only one thing. First, only remember one thing. You need to see this. Okay. You need to see the work schedule calendar should have only one value. Time entry template should only have one value, and the period schedule should have only one value. This worker is not having anything in his entire life. He will not be able to enter the time tracking. Okay, because the period schedule is empty. Correct? Am I correct or not?
Right. Yeah, because he don't have the period schedule. Yeah.
Until and unless we do not make him eligible for the period schedule, he will not be able to enter the time. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That is for sure. That is for sure. Kevin Turner won't be able to enter the time if the period schedule is not here. So always remember, whenever you're using this, this you will be using day in day out. Okay, day in day out you will be using when it comes to workday time tracking. All right, for every worker, if there is a break fix or any issue comes into the picture, the first thing what you will be doing, you will be using this task view workers time eligibility. First thing to check how to identify which worker is using which period schedule. It is done by this task. You will identify that he is a shift worker, he's using this UI time entry template, and his period schedule is uh, currently it is empty, but he is using a period schedule. After that, worker is eligible for double time, shift differential, overtime. How those calculations are running, those calculations are also getting attached with the calculation tab. All right, these are our 8th or 9th day topics. All right, calculations. But yeah, he is eligible for these calculations. All right, you just need to remember that this is a very powerful tool. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
These through. All right, so let's make him eligible for any of the period schedule. Which period schedule? This is also not using our time tracking. We need to identify. Let's make it on monthly.
Yeah. So why you're copying the condition from the template rule
I'm,
here?
I'm just making him eligible. All right, rather than creating a whole temp, rather than modifying or rather than making it complex, I'm just making it a simpler one.
Okay.
All right, you can create your own eligibility rule. I'm just there was a previous eligibility rule, na? So I
Okay.
just did not want to disrupt that, so I just make it like that. Hmm. Which task we are using? View workers time eligibility. This is my favorite tool.
Yeah, it looks really good actually.
You see, he is eligible now. He can enter the time.
So can't we just edit from, so we cannot edit from this page and add a period schedule here?
No, no, we cannot. We
Because
cannot
this is
edit
just
it.
a view.
This,
Okay.
this, this, yeah,
It's,
this is a view part. Yeah,
yeah.
it gives you the reports. It is a basic, a standard report kind of a thing. All right, it gives you
Yeah.
all
So
details.
basically you
That's
went to that eligibility rule and then you added this particular time entry template that he's already using, and
no.
then
I
you
just no. I don't. I did not template. I did not copy. I copied the worker eligibility rule. Worker eligibility is view time tracking eligibility rule. This rule I copied.
okay, okay.
Right? This is basically he's eligible. What makes him eligible? All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think summing up today's session, tomorrow we will discuss two more important pillars. all right, and different modes of time entries, all right. Please
Fine.
practice the enter time part, lock time, and tomorrow I'll first ask you, then do the session. All right. Anything that you didn't understand or anything you want to ask for today's session?
No, I think I was very clear. So I did understand like whatever we discussed today. So I'm good.
All right. Great, great, great. All right. Thanks, thanks. Please take care of
Okay,
yourself,
thank
and
you.
we'll talk.